I recently, specifically today especially, I've just sat down and found myself wandering throughout the day thinking to myself about various little synchronicities or whatever else. And again, I am somebody who is genuinely very curious about spiritual related things. And I'm not talking religious, spiritual, slightly curious about astrology, but I've always felt like it's too general. And so it's not really that believable. Maybe I just haven't found the right group or people that do astrology to actually resonate with. I have no idea. But in general, especially things like, universe or whatever, higher self, that kind of stuff. Now, that's the stuff that I actually at least mostly believe in. Still a little curious about figuring that stuff out. But it's a process. Anyway, the point being is that this evening I finally allowed myself to go and like just kind of drift through it in my head. And one of those things I was thinking of, for whatever reason, I've always kind of felt myself having a sort of affinity towards other star signs that I supposedly am not, because I am an Aquarius. So I figured I would look at other things like that. Mainly, it seems to be dominantly like Sagittarius and Capricorn. And I realized that crappy corn and venereal disease, I'm not going to retract those statements. Because I am 12 and I am proud of them because I am 12. They're also end of the year, just like Aquarius is, or well, end of the astrological year, because technically, obviously, it's middle, well, I guess late January through early February. That's Aquarii season, but technically on the astrological calendar, it's the last, or no, next to last sign. Pisces is the last sign of the the astrological calendar. Which I thought was interesting because of the fact it's like, okay, so we all kind of, in fact, literally, we each come in succession of each other. So I thought that was extremely interesting. So I'm like, okay, because of the fact that we're all in a line, a conga line with each other, I'm now kind of curious. I'm gonna just look up just to verify, and this is what I did this evening. What are like actually I looked up specifically what are the signs of October, because I want to start there. Because here's the thing I've noticed. And I've noticed this off and on throughout the years, this last few years, but especially this year. Finally, I allowed myself to really think about it and be like, and really notice it and sit with it and be like, damn, I really seem to by far be the most creative, the most inspired, the most energized, the happiest, and the most like busy, so to speak, about always doing something this time of year. Like between October, especially like mid October, early mid October, all the way through, I'd say February, maybe first half of March, I am at my peak. You can even see that showing up on my YouTube channel here, The Criminal Violin. You can see that over the course of these last like nearly 9 years. I've been doing this straight through. I seem to peak in terms of like doing all this activity. I'm super active between like October and like February. And then by May or so, I just kind of disappear for a long time. And I don't like upload almost anything. I rarely upload or make any content. Autumn, and especially late autumn through early spring, and I'm at my peak for some reason. I've noticed that. I've even noticed that in my music. I listen to music and love the hell out of it and make all my playlists almost exclusively between September and also I think February. It's like if you look at my playlist on Windows Media Player, it's just like all 99% of them are all formed within that period of time. So it's this time of the year that I seem to hit my peak. And if it has anything to do energy wise and spirituality wise, and thus relating directly to astrology, let's say there is a connection there, I wondered why. So that's where I got to this point where I wanted to look this up. But I've also planned on and been really wanting to actually do a video where I just voice over slash voice act read for the hell of it, and a really just have fun reading some random articles or some random things. And I find myself doing that naturally here without recording it. So I'm like, okay, I'm gonna actually record myself reacting to and also reading this article from a supposed celebrity astrologer who's supposedly very experienced and very well versed and renowned in her right of doing astrology, which I don't know how real or legit that is, especially if you're a celebrity one. I kind of feel like you're definitely bullshitting a bit, but we'll find out. Anyway, the point being, I figured it'd be really fun to be able to read this and do this since it's about her and it's about Aquarii. I figured why the hell not? Also, yes, I refer to Aquarius and as plural as Aquarii, but also in general Aquarii. I don't know why. It's just my natural state of doing it. Worth mentioning that as well is the fact that it doesn't matter who or where I've heard and read everything about Aquarius. I feel like I only can really fit with and match about half of the things, and the other half I'm like, fuck no. So, and it ranged true when I read this, but let's have fun with it, shall we? So, from Allure, the personality traits of Aquarii explained. As you can imagine, I encounter a lot of misconceptions as a professional astrologer. Not just regarding my career as a stargazer, but also relating to the technical aspects of astrology. One of the most ubiquitous, albeit innocuous, but very annoying, clearly, because I'm mentioning it, errors is that Aquarii is a water sign. Well, we should be, because of the fact that we're literally the bearers of water. So we're literally fucking water. Well, okay. Sorry, I got a little excited there. No. A little too connected, maybe. No. I would make that joke. But, point being, as I throw myself, derail my train yet again, which is way too easy to do today. But no, we should be water, because it just makes common, logical... Yeah, it just makes common sense. It's just common, logical sense. It doesn't make sense that we're an air sign when we're literally the thing that gives every other sign its existence. Like, you have to go through us to exist. We give you permission to exist. If we can bear your life, we can fucking revoke that in a heartbeat. Don't fuck with us. That's my mentality with that. That's why I love that about it. It's like, okay, well, if we're the bearers of water, A, we should be water signs, and technically we are in my heart and mind, so there, fuck you. Also, second, is that yes, don't fuck with us, because we gave you life. We can fucking take it right back. Don't fucking push my buttons, because I am exactly the kind of person who would get a thrill out of fucking with you. So don't do it. But once you get to name the zodiac sign, it becomes strikingly clear that Aquarius is in fact an air sign. You wish. As the 11th and penultimate sign of the zodiac, Aquarii is actually the final air sign, which means it deals with air-related concepts. We'll get more into that momentarily. From a macro perspective, of all the zodiac signs, Aquarii are undoubtedly the most innovative, progressive, rebellious, definitely that, and humanitarian. That part I don't necessarily agree with, because I honestly, I think of the There Will Be Blood gif of him going, I hate most people. Because, like, yes, definitely that. I am not a people person. I like being more of a hermit than social. Like, I don't technically have much social need. It's very tiny. And I can get overwhelmed with social energy way too quick, way overstimulated. So I'm good. Uh, yeah, and plus human beings drive me fucking ballistic because they never make any logical sense. And I could go on ranting about this for hours. I'm not going to, but you get the idea. Just to give you a little idea of how much I don't feel like I fit this very well. I'm also a misanthrope. Like, by definition, I am a misanthrope. I am technically, if you want to be 100% transparent and honest about it, I call myself a humanitarian misanthrope because I am a walking, talking contradiction in a lot of different ways, and that is one of the ways I am. Because for some reason, as much as I fucking hate people, and they drive me fucking insane and literally angry, so a lot of times, I, at the same time, for some stupid reason, really fucking care. And I don't want to fucking see anybody hurt or suffer. It's freaking annoying how much I, like, contradict myself with that shit. But it's very literal. So, I don't know. Maybe one of those supposedly my other strong sign. I have no idea, but whatever. I just thought I'd mention that in the context that the humanitarian part definitely I am contentious with at best. While Aquarii can often be found planning a revolution or proudly flaunting their funky flair fashion sensibility. You give a fuck about fashion. Look, I always wear, you can tell, look throughout the years, I've always pretty much owned the same clothes. And I wear the same clothes. Why? It's comfortable. Does it do its job? Is it comfortable? Yeah? Okay. That's all that matters to me. Let's see. They also have an often overlooked sensitive. What happened there? Sensitive side that requires appreciation, support, and love. Energy is all about the mind. Intellectual, debatable, curious, sometimes too much, and deeply social. Very fucking untrue for me. That is like the opposite of my existence. Air signs, Gemini, Libra, and Aquarii are passionate about interpersonal dynamics. As the last air sign in the zodiac, however, Aquarii takes these concepts to a whole other level. Aquarii is represented by the water bearer, hence the aqua. The mysterial, I'm gonna stick with it. The mysterial healer who bestows water, aka life, upon the land. Represented by the star in Tarot, or Tarot if you're picky. Aquarii can be visualized as larger than life, mythical being with one foot planted firmly on the soil, representing a sense of being grounded, and one positioned into the Vasa. Aquarii is holding a Vasa, which pours new streams of inspiration to cultivate longevity, healing, and hope. Here, it's important to remember and recall that Aquarii is removed, from this process. From this vantage, we can see that Aquarii is positioned as an independent entity, separate from the life-giving hydration it offers the cracked soil. Because fuck you, that's why. In this respect, Aquarii exposes a deep connection to community, rooted in teamwork, collaboration, and the concept of the greater good. Aquarii is determined to make a powerful difference in the world. Debatable. I kind of have a fuck you, fuck everyone else mentality a lot of times, actually. Sometimes it's literal, and other times it's half facetiously, where I'm just like, fuck off. I don't want to fucking have human energy around me right now. I don't want to think about it. Go away. No. I'm more worried about my own comfort, actually, is the truth of it, than anyone else's. Especially considering I'd rather get my own damn foundation under me and build my own life finally for myself to be on my own rather than living with somebody my entire life, as I always have done. I've never lived on my own. I would like to at least get that kind of solid foundation and start building, myself a solid life rather than and thus very focused on my own comfort, my own needs and desires over anyone else. Like, everyone else can go fuck themselves while I try to figure my own self out, because I'm already fucked up enough. I don't need to try to help anybody else. I'm good. You can go, and you're fucked up too, so you know what, you can go keep getting fucked up and fuck yourself up more. I'm fine. I'm gonna try to figure this out as haphazardly and face-plantingly as I'm going to inevitably, of course, do that. Aquarii is ruled by your mother's wet anus. We are pretty shitty people. It is a true statement there. That governs innovation, technology, disgusting, repulsive even, and surprising events. Maybe like me actually making this video and you, for some reason, clicking and watching it and then realizing, why the fuck did I do this? Why am I torturing myself? Great point. That's why you should subscribe, because you're already here torturing yourself. You might as well keep torturing yourself. I don't know. Listen, fuck you. These water bearers... Wait, no, I skipped something very heavily there. Your anus, in fact, perfectly mirrors flowers, but also Aquarii's distinctive attitude, complementing the non-traditional nature of these visionary eye signs. I almost said, fair enough. Eye signs. Aquarii are big thinkers, but mustn't forget their immediate surroundings. These water bearers can become so focused on implementing widespread reform that they neglect their family and friends, gaining a reputation for being distant in relationships. Aquarii should remember that progress always starts on a micro level and advocate empathy and compassion where possible. What makes them happy? Well, apparently, as the humanitarian of this is the part that tripped me up. because I'm like, wait, this is a contradiction. It's contradicting itself here. Because it doesn't really, this sentence structure makes no sense, because it's saying one thing and then immediately saying something else that then would defy that first thing, which is, as the humanitarian of the zodiac, this sign does have a bit of a reputation of being cold, aloof, and somewhat detached. So they're not a humanitarian, I assume? Like, I can't imagine you'd be a very good humanitarian if you're cold, aloof, and detached. In fact, I think you're just depressed at that point, to be honest. Here's the thing. Aquarius hates small talk. Depends on what you define as small talk. I apparently don't define small talk as what they explain here, which is, Aquarius totally is disinterested within petty gossip and frankly could care less about people-pleasing niceties. Correct. That's definitely true. But I didn't think that was considered small talk. In fact, to me, I'm very literal, so gossip is its own thing. People pleasing is its own thing. It has nothing to do with small talk. To me, small talk is like, hey, so how about the weather lately? How's the dog? Wife, kids, cool. Why are we here just to suffer? You know, just like the most random bullshit. It's the tiny little random things that, like, there's no reason to fucking talk about it, but for some reason everybody always does it. That to me is small talk. And actually, I love random bullshit. I always have for a long time, and I still cherish this memory. When I had my original Twitter account that I closed for a whole fucking year, and then I opened my current one. In fact, there's two people. Party Zombie Cat was the alias of another one. We all clicked and hit it off. We had this weird thing where we just loved randomly starting up conversations that most adults would not consider a conversation, because they would consider incoherent, but to us it was like our communication language. We got the biggest amount of joy, I especially did, out of just complete random bullshittery. It was just totally just shitting out of our mouths and minds. It was just the most random, incoherent bullshit is all we ever did as conversation pieces. And I fucking love that. I still take screenshots when I do that with my brother Mario, because it's fucking hilarious to me. I don't know why, but it gives me so much joy to do that. But that is still technically, to me, what I would define as small talk. This zodiac sign is committed to creating a large-scale impact from the ground up, which means these revolutionaries are all about macro change. Aquarii aspires to move the needle through radical social progress, so if they seem disinterested, it's likely because the issue at hand isn't community-focused. Shifting the conversation from me to we, as in the collective, will absolutely pique the Aquarius' interest. Now, here's another thing I find interesting about this whole Aquarii thing, is you'll find this almost exclusively across the board, at least online. You'll always find it with like almost every group and every person that supposedly is an astrologer. They'll always say this about Aquarii, where it's like, oh yeah, they're super independent, they need their freedom, they like single most important thing in Aquarian is freedom, which for me is absolutely the case. They're very much like against authority, they're very much against rules. I am scream that. That's who I am. Like, just rebel, everything, right? So what that is, by definition, is individualism. In fact, it's hyper individualistic. You're all about maintaining your boundaries, which your boundaries are basically everything within this boundary lane is mine, and do not fucking even think about touching it or looking at it sideways, because I'm hyper defensive of this, because this is what makes me who I am, and this is what I fucking need and crave, right? That's how they explain it, which for me is very true. But then they're constantly talking about the whole community, collectivism, which is group. It's everybody else with you. And it's like, that contradicts itself again. It doesn't work. It doesn't make any logical, rational sense, because it's like, okay, how can you be both? How can you be both one extreme and the other extreme? You have to have it be communal, but you also have to have, communistic, literally, by definition, but you also have to have it be hyper individualistic. What? And that means that we're people of extremes. If that is genuinely true, we are literally extremists, because we are extreme opposite of one in our personal life, but we're extreme opposite in our social life, where it's like we're literally opposites of each other at once. where it's like we're in this extreme over here, but we're in that extreme over here, and we're at the same time. So when they have to coalesce and cross over at some point, like in this case, and it doesn't work for me. Like my brain, it's like this doesn't. It goes full Spock mode. It's like this is entirely illogical because it is. It doesn't make any fucking sense. I can't begin to comprehend how the heck that works. So I'm not so sure that's actually true, especially considering obviously the latter one. I'm much more individualistic than I am communistic. So it's like I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I've always felt weird about that aspect of it. Every Aquarian is a rebel at heart. These air signs don't mesh well with authority figures, let alone any institution that represents tradition and long-standing convention. Free-spirited and eccentric, you can often spot this air sign through their often offbeat fashion sensibilities, unusual hobbies, and non-conformist attitude. If you are an Aquarian yourself, you must keep in mind that solar and lunar eclipses can have a large impact. So be sure to look out for these major astrological milestones. How are we at it? Go ahead and dig deeper on your Aquarius. Yeah, no, I'm good. Stop advertising to me. There was actually a new moon that I don't think it was an eclipse. I can't remember what it was. There was some other major event with it that then also spiritualized was supposedly opened a portal. I don't. Oh, also it entered the age of Aquarius with that new moon. So it's our age now, supposedly. I have no idea if that was true. I don't think it. I say don't think it is. I don't know. We'll fucking find out, I guess. So yeah, this is actually kind of an irrelevant mention because now I think about it, I don't think there was an eclipse. I think maybe it was an eclipse. I don't fucking remember. I don't know. Anyway, the point is, I never knew that about this. I've never even heard of it until I read this. I'm like, okay, interesting. As a fixed sign, Aquarius definitely has a stubborn streak. You can say that 50,000 times over and it will never be enough. Yes, 100%. Although I blame that on my Nordic roots. There's a reason why we have the phrase among Nordic peoples, stubborn, I think it's stubborn Norwegians and bullheaded Swedes, or either that or because I'm dyslexic, it's the reverse of that. But either way, it doesn't matter because it's saying the same thing. And it's painfully true. We're intensely stubborn people. So maybe it's doubled down, who knows. But yeah, no, I have a self-detrimental level of stubbornness in me for sure. Because when they make up their mind, there's no going back. Yep. It's like martyristic. Aquarii's hard-headedness, bullheadedness, whatever you want to call it, can get them into trouble from time to time. Once Aquarii is committed to a new system or approach, it's hard for them to look at a situation from a different perspective. That's not so true for me, I feel like, but maybe. This is often considered an Achilles heel. In fact, in medical astrology, which I had to laugh at when I read that, I'm like, oh yeah, I forgot that's supposed to be a thing. Aquarii governs the cackles. Aquarian obstinacy stems from strong righteous conviction and is quelled as soon as an Aquarius gets the chance to enact Changi. Because these water bearers are so deeply motivated by the spirit of egalitarianism, they enjoy teamwork and participating in communities of like-minded individuals. Yes, everybody likes to be part of their own tribe and likes to be with their people. That's innate. It's built into everybody to want to gravitate towards people who are like themselves. Who would have thought, hey? Aquarians need plenty of space and time on their own to reflect, form ideas, and plan their role in the revolution. Ultimately, freedom is the most important for Aquarians. Is of the utmost importance. I cannot speak English for some reason all of a sudden. For Aquarians, who view challenges to their independence as power-hungry attempts to control them. True. To win an Aquarian's trust, don't try to rein in the quirks or keep them from flying the freak flag high. Aquarians thrive on shock value. Not really. If I did, I'd be doing a lot of stupid shit like a lot of celebrities are doing lately. I don't really care. I do love reactions. If I can say some stupid shit and people just like give you the most visceral reaction, at least facially, in body language, or if not, also in the fucking like vocal reactions. Dude, I do love that. I find it so fucking funny. I don't know why it is. I wouldn't call that shock factor. Like, I'm not trying or thinking ahead of time. 90% of the time, I don't think before I speak. I just say whatever the fuck's on my mind, which most people see as a negative. I see it as a positive because it means, you know, I'm not lying. Like, whatever the fuck is on my mind is going to just vomit out of my mouth without with haste, and you're not going to hear any edits, like any whole filtration 99% of the time. So I see that as a good thing. Blunt honesty like that, unfiltered, I see that it's more of a positive than negative. But yeah, it can get you in fucking major sticky situations and issues, obviously. But I'd take that as a compromise over being like everyone else, trying to control their own speech and think before they talk. But yeah, because I actually am really freaking agitated by people who think a lot. They're really heady before they open their mouths. There's so like Barack Obama's or my mom, they always like take. Sometimes they can take upwards of 30 seconds before they continue speaking because they're actively turning the cogs in their head. You're trying to think, how should I word this specific to my audience, whoever it is, and they're talking to. In this moment, so that I can get it across in a way that they'll best understand, and that, you know, it's very clear and concise. It's like, don't think, just talk. Like, that's less thinky, more talky. Like that's how I work. I like, get it out, just fucking say it, and get it over with, so that I can interject my piece and probably disagree, because that's how I work. It's not even that I'm thinking about it, or like, I always have to disagree. It's just, I do. I normally don't agree with most things people say. I don't know why. It's always been that way. Not because I'm trying to be edgy or shock factor, though. Right. Yeah, no, thanks. I'm not a fucking TLC star. Hello, fixed signs, Taurus and Scorpio. Scorpidity Scorp. Can be a bit problematic for Aquarii. Like Aquarius, they're known to be very stubborn, and too many strongly opinionated people can feel like too many cooks in the kitchen, putting it lightly. And in a very stupid way. Get creative, bitch. Although Aquarii can make a romantic relationship work with any zodiac sign, these water bearers must remember that compromise is extremely important. Absolutely. However, it's a one-way street, and only you have to compromise. I don't have to compromise ever. It's called compassion and understanding. I listen. I don't make the rules. That's just how it works. Not everyone is going to care about the same things. Well, they should. And then I'll get pissed at you for that, because of the fact that then it's like, well, why the fuck? I don't want you to do that all the time. I want difference. And then as soon as I get the difference back, then I'm going to be mad at you for that. It's called compassion and understanding. Don't shoot the messenger. I'm just stating the facts. No, everyone is going to care about the same things. But that's what makes the world a beautiful place. True, but also still one-way road. What makes the best match for Aquarius? Aquarius wants the fearless autonomy of that's feared of the fire signs, Aries, Leo, and Sagittarius, and the intellectual connection of fellow air signs, Gemini and Libra. But when it comes to Aquarii compatibility, there's no sign that's totally off limits. Fundamentally, Aquarii is attracted to fellow revolutionaries, people who are spirited, passionate, and dedicated to making the world a better place. I kind of wish we'd just go extinct. Like, at my heart, in my core, I'm like already done. I'm like, when can we go extinct? That's how you make the world a better place, is when we finally achieve self-extinction. I'll be a happy camper. So there's my contribution to society. Us just being gone. By that I mean just sitting back, old school 3D glasses, red, blue, popcorn in one hand, cheese from the moon on the other, and a few nice little fellow 3D glasses wearing rats. We sit back and watch the world burn. Actually, that's one of the reasons why I chose to say, fuck it, I'm gonna have fun with this, and screw actually having a brand. I'm just gonna fucking put up, at least temporarily, I'm gonna put up that change my channel icon to the "What a Time to Be Alive" cartoon, because it just fits my mentality, how I feel at this point about the world. It's like, you know what, fuck it, because like, what a fucking time to be alive. Just like, you know, people are like, oh, some people just like to watch the world burn. Well, it is actively burning, so I mean, we might as well just admit it, and like, instead of just acknowledging it, some of us might as well figure out some positive thing to get out of it. And if it's enjoyment watching us slowly implode, more the merrier. Oh man. Um No matter the zodiac sign, Aquarii are drawn to lovers who aren't afraid to break the rules, or at the very least, don't mind Aquarii's steadfast commitment to the cause. Because Aquarii are always on thinking the big picture, or for me, the minute details, on too often, to my own detriment, because God, it's fucking exhausting to be so hyper analytical sometimes. Partnership isn't just an interpersonal dynamic, it's a political statement. Bullshit. It's just it obviously is more than just an interpersonal dynamic. There's so much depth to real, genuine, you know, relationships. So much more than anybody gives credit to, in fact, these days. Like, anybody seems to believe. But yeah, I could go into that at depth if I wanted to, about like this sheer, as the current buzzword is, favorite buzzword is, this nuance about it, because there's so much to it. There's so much depth that nobody fucking follows. Everybody seems to have forgotten exists, and it's really sad. But yeah, but no, like, I know, why the fuck would I want to make a statement with a relationship? Like, it's called personal for a reason. It's called, you know, private for a reason. Like, why flaunt or advertise stuff, you know? The only thing I feel like I wouldn't be mind at all, in fact, I probably actually enjoy flaunting in a relationship, would be the literal bond you have, that dynamic you have, the dynamicism, the bond, the passion, the happiness, the joy you give each other, the love you have, you know. And you know, I'm actually have, most people think that PDAs, public displays of affection, not the original PDAs, which was a pocket computer. There's a better way I could have referenced that, but I fell out of order. I'm like, I'm still gonna mention it. God damn it. The Impatiers. Only pieces of tech from my childhood I was actually like, those are kind of cool, just because they're different. I don't know. Anyway, different statement, different thing. But yeah, most people in modern day, they think that public displays of affection are fucking disgusting, or they're creepy and they're weird, and it's like, why? Who cares? In fact, if anything, I would think that's an extremely fucking healthy thing. Is that, you know, again, you're not thinking, oh, I want to fucking make out right now, or I want to go fucking, you know what I mean? You're not thinking about making it into some show, or like, ooh, there's people around. I want to now kiss you now because it's it's me hot and bothered. Like, no. Yeah, the weirder people are gonna probably fucking do that, because they're actually probably out there literally to get off, get excited. But you don't get hormonally ambitious. There's obviously always going to be people like that out there. But the majority of people, I don't think, would actually do that in relationships, because I don't think you're thinking about that. You're obviously so into each other in that moment when you're with each other, that you're gonna, you know, kiss, and maybe it turns into a makeout session, whatever the fuck it is. You know what I mean? Like, you're not necessarily gonna be turned on by. In fact, I feel like that's kind of unnatural to get turned on by making out. Like, you know, because it would depend on the intent and the clear mood, I guess. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like there has to be a setup there where it's clear with your bond that you're gonna be able to identify it without having to say anything about, like, okay, this makeout session is happening now because we're getting pretty saucy, we're feeling real whew, you know. You know? But then other times, if you don't feel that, you're gonna know it's obviously just because you're feeling lovey-dovey. You know what I mean? Or lovey-dovey, as my family always called it. You know, and I feel like that's a really healthy sign. Like, if you're out in public and you guys just kind of like, because you're so smitten that you end up, you know, hugging each other, cuddling, or maybe you end up kissing, and then it turns into a mini makeout session. Like, I don't think that shit should be seen as fucking threatening, that they're gonna, you know, guy's gonna pop a boner or some shit, you know, somebody's gonna get handy, like, or that, for that matter, that it should be considered weird or gross. Like, I think that that's a it should almost be celebrated, I guess is my point, because it's a sign of a really happy, healthy relationship, I would think. And I feel like that's, again, a case, these kinds of things are common sense. I don't think like you have to fucking have a experience with any relationships. Obviously I don't. And I don't feel like you have to have it in order to be able to figure that shit out, you know? Especially considering the world's your oyster. You can fucking observe and everything. And you can pick up and learn so much shit just by observing from a distance. Uh, you know, the world around you. And especially those that are in your life. And 90% of the time, people are going to have experiences with relationships. And usually, modern day in the US, it seems like they fail. And you wonder why, except if you really observed, you pick it up pretty quickly. A lot of the reasons why a lot of these things fuck up and fail. And the main majority is that you were never in love. You thought it was love and it wasn't. It's just what's called passion, which is that you're passionately attracted to each other. It's attraction. A passionate attraction is what you had. You mistook it for love, and you wonder why it fell apart after 6 months to 2 years. You couldn't pass the first benchmark of a relationship, which, by the way, is literally scientifically proven relentlessly throughout the decades. Longer than I've been alive, it's been proven that there's literally benchmark years in relationships to get past, and each one has a different, very common trait to it, that junction, that timeline, where once you hit that point, if you can get through it and past it, then, you know, you've achieved another major hurdle. It's literally biologically and scientifically proven. It has been many a time. And that first benchmark is 2 years. If you can't get past your 2 years, and that includes like the full fucking second year, so all the way through into the third year, if you guys are on rocks and you can't fucking get through that and figure it out and eventually come back together closer than ever, it's not gonna work out. Like, you're gonna fucking fall apart. It's gonna get worse because, you know, and when you don't pass that first one, then first hurdle, that's usually because, again, you never had love for each other in the first place. You thought it was love and it was not. So I have absolutely nothing against PDAs. I think it's actually super fucking adorable and sweet to see that. I love seeing it. I wish it happened way more often, but I think people are too worried about the fucking statement and the perception. And maybe that's what you consider the fucking politics of it, right? Where the fuck was that whole politics statement? It's like, what? It's a political statement right here. This, maybe that's what that is. Maybe that's the political statement of a relationship, is like, what does it appear as to the world? Which I can give two shits. It's none of your fucking business. Like, I don't care. As long as we're happy and healthy together and our bond keeps growing, fuck you, dude. Like, I don't care. And even if it wasn't, it was falling apart, it's still none of your fucking business. Who cares what you think? You know? Like, fuck off, you know? That's my mentality with that. But anyway. Alright. Go fuck yourself. That's my humanitarian charity for the day. Alright, see ya.